What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we've got an absolutely wild story from Reddit's Am I the Asshole community that's been going completely viral in December 2025. This is the kind of story that makes you wonder, can someone really be this petty? Or is this just the perfect example of malicious compliance done right? We're talking about a gender reveal gone horribly wrong. We're talking about a cake that caused absolute chaos at a family gathering. And we're talking about a brother who decided that if he didn't get the information he needed, well, nobody was getting what they wanted. Before we dive in, if you're new here, welcome. We cover the wildest Reddit stories, relationship drama, and family conflicts that'll make you think, thank God that's not my family. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss a story. And here's the question I want you thinking about throughout this entire story. Who's really the asshole here? The person who didn't provide crucial information, or the person who followed instructions exactly as they were given? Let's get into it. Our story comes from a 23-year-old guy. Let's call him Jake. Now, Jake isn't just your average 23-year-old. Jake has a hobby, a passion, really. Jake loves to bake. Not professionally, mind you. This isn't his career, but he's good at it. Like, really good. The kind of good where family members start asking him to make cakes for special occasions. Birthday cakes, anniversary cakes, and yes, gender reveal cakes. Now, if you're not familiar with gender reveal parties, let me give you a quick rundown. It's a relatively modern phenomenon where expecting parents throw a party to reveal the biological sex of their unborn baby. Usually, there's some kind of surprise element involved. Sometimes it's balloons filled with pink or blue confetti. Sometimes it's smoke bombs. Sometimes it's cutting into a cake that has either pink or blue filling inside. And yes, sometimes these parties go catastrophically wrong. We've all seen the videos. Wildfires started by pyrotechnics, explosions, planes crashing. But that's a story for another day. This story is about a cake. A very special cake. Or rather, a very gray cake. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So Jake has a sister. Let's call her Emily. Emily is pregnant. This is exciting news for the family. Emily and her partner are expecting their first child, and naturally, they want to celebrate. Emily decides she wants a gender reveal party. Nothing too crazy, just family and close friends. Good food, good company, and of course, the big reveal moment. And when it comes to the centerpiece of that reveal, Emily knows exactly who to ask. Her brother Jake, the baker. A few weeks before the party, Emily approaches Jake with the request. Can he make the gender reveal cake for her party? Now, Jake is a good brother. Despite what you might think from where this story is going, he genuinely wants to help his sister celebrate this milestone. So of course, he says yes. But he's also a practical person. He knows how these things work. To make a proper gender reveal cake, he needs one crucial piece of information. Pink or blue? Boy or girl? What's going on inside that cake? This is where things start to get interesting. So Jake asks his sister the obvious question. What's the gender? Do I need to make the filling pink or blue? This is standard procedure, right? You can't make a gender reveal cake without knowing the gender. That's literally the entire point. But Emily has other ideas. Oh no, she says. I want to be surprised too. Just make it neutral for the reveal, and we'll all find out together. Now, let's pause here for a second, because this is where the first red flag appears. Emily wants to be surprised at her own gender reveal party. Think about that for a moment. Usually, at least one of the parents knows the gender. Usually, it's a doctor or a friend or a bakery who knows the secret, and they prepare the reveal for the parents to discover along with their guests. But Emily wants nobody to know. Not her, not her partner, not the guests, and apparently, not even the person making the actual reveal cake. Jake, being the reasonable person he is, tries to explain the problem. Okay, but Emily, I need to know what color to make the inside of the cake. That's how this works. Emily waves him off. Don't worry. I'll have someone email you the information later. The doctor knows. They'll send it to you. All right, Jake says. Just make sure they send it soon. I need time to prep. Emily assures him it'll be fine. She gives him the date of the party. She tells him what flavor she wants. She even shows him some inspiration photos of what she wants the outside to look like. Everything seems sorted, except for one tiny, insignificant, absolutely crucial detail. The gender. Days go by. Jake starts gathering his ingredients. He plans out his baking schedule. He's thinking about design elements, frosting techniques, structural integrity. All the things a good baker thinks about. But he's still waiting for that email. The email that will tell him whether he's making this cake pink or blue. A week goes by. No email. Jake reaches out to Emily. Hey, still haven't gotten that information about the gender. Can you check with whoever's supposed to send it? Oh yeah, I'll follow up. Emily says. Another few days pass. Still nothing. Jake messages again. Emily, seriously, I need to know soon. The party's coming up and I need to plan this out. Don't worry, someone will send it. Now, let's talk about what's happening in Jake's mind at this point. Because he's starting to realize something. Nobody is going to send him this information. Either Emily forgot to arrange it, or whoever was supposed to send it dropped the ball, or there was some miscommunication somewhere along the line. But the result is the same. Jake doesn't know if this baby is a boy or a girl, and the deadline is approaching fast. More days pass. Jake is now in what we might call last chance territory. If he's going to bake this cake, he needs to do it soon. Cakes take time, especially fancy, Instagram-worthy gender reveal cakes. He sends one more message. Emily, I really need that information now. Like, right now. The party's in a few days. Emily's response. Oh, I'm sure it'll come through. Just keep checking your email. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is where Jake makes a decision. A decision that will lead to one of the most controversial Reddit posts of December 2025. A decision that will divide the internet. A decision that involves a very specific shade of gray. Jake is sitting in his kitchen. It's the day before the party. He's staring at his mixing bowls, his ingredients laid out, his phone sitting on the counter. Still no email. He's checked his spam folder 3 times. He's refreshed his inbox so many times his thumb is getting sore. Nothing. And that's when it hits him. If nobody is going to tell him what gender this baby is, then he'll just have to make a creative executive decision. See, Emily told him to make it neutral. Those were her exact words. Make it neutral for the reveal. And Jake is nothing if not a man who follows instructions. He starts mixing, but instead of reaching for pink food coloring or blue food coloring, he makes a choice. He's going neutral, not white, not pastel, not some combination of pink and blue. Gray. Full on gray. We're talking concrete gray, overcast sky gray, municipal building gray, the most aggressively neutral color you can possibly imagine. He mixes gray food coloring into his cake batter. He bakes it. The entire inside of this cake is gray. But he doesn't stop there. Oh no. Because remember, Emily wants to be surprised. She wants this to be a big reveal moment. So Jake decides to commit fully to the aesthetic. The outside of the cake? Also gray. Gray frosting. Gray decorations. He even makes little fondant clouds and puts them on top. This cake looks like it belongs at a funeral for optimism itself. Jake steps back and looks at his creation. And honestly, he's pretty proud of it. It's well made. The fondant work is smooth. The clouds look adorable. The structural integrity is sound. It's just, comprehensively, unrelentingly gray. He takes a picture. For a moment, he considers sending it to Emily as a preview. But then he thinks, no, she wanted to be surprised. Let's keep the surprise intact. Now, you might be wondering at this point, why didn't Jake just call Emily? Why didn't he show up at her house and demand to know the gender? Why didn't he refuse to make the cake without the information? Valid questions. And Jake actually addressed this in his Reddit post. His reasoning was simple. Emily specifically told him she wanted to be surprised. She specifically said someone would send him the information. She specifically told him to make it neutral. He followed every single instruction she gave him. If she wanted him to have the gender information, she should have made sure he got it. That was on her to arrange, not on him to chase down. Was he being petty? Maybe. Was he being technically correct? Absolutely. And in the world of Reddit's Am I the Asshole community, being technically correct is often considered the best kind of correct. So Jake boxes up his gray masterpiece. He loads it carefully into his car, and he drives to Emily's gender reveal party. He's about to drop a cake bomb on this celebration. A gray, cloud-covered, completely uninformative cake bomb. Let me paint you a picture of this party, because it's important to understand the atmosphere Jake is walking into. Emily has clearly put a lot of effort into this event. There are decorations everywhere. Pink and blue, of course, because nobody knows which it's going to be. There are balloons, streamers, a boy or girl, banner hanging over the dessert table. Family members are mingling. There's Emily's partner, excited and nervous. There are the parents, both sets of grandparents-to-be. There are aunts, uncles, cousins, friends. Everyone is in a good mood. Everyone is excited. This is a celebration. And then Jake walks in carrying a box. The cake box. People start gathering around. Ooh, is that the cake? Let me see. I bet it's going to be beautiful. Jake sets it down on the designated table. Emily comes over, beaming. You made it. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see it. Yeah, Jake says. I think you're really going to be surprised. Oh, buddy, you have no idea. The party continues. People eat, they chat, they play some of those typical gender reveal party games. Guess the gender ballots are filled out. Predictions are made. The excitement builds. And finally, it's time. The moment everyone has been waiting for. The cake cutting. Emily and her partner stand behind the dessert table. Jake brings out the cake box. The room goes quiet. Phones come out. Everyone wants to record this moment. Emily is practically vibrating with excitement. Her partner has his arm around her. The grandparents are positioned for the best camera angles. Jake opens the box, and the first sign that something is wrong appears on people's faces. The cake is gray. Completely, utterly, totally gray. Now, to be fair to the guests, many of them probably think this is intentional. Maybe it's a trendy design choice. Maybe it's meant to be neutral and elegant. Instagram aesthetics can be weird sometimes, right? Emily looks at it. Her smile falters just a bit. Oh, she says. That's interesting. You said to make it neutral, Jake says, his face completely innocent. Right? Emily says slowly. Neutral. Yes. But here's the thing. The outside isn't the reveal. The inside is. And surely the inside will be pink or blue. That's how these cakes work. Emily and her partner pick up the knife. The room holds its breath. Cameras are recording. This is it. They cut into the cake. They pull out the first slice. And the inside is gray. Dead. Silent. Gray. The room erupts in confused murmurs. People crane their necks to see. What does that mean? Is that a thing? I don't understand. Emily is staring at the cake slice like it personally insulted her family. Her partner looks bewildered. The grandparents are exchanging confused glances. Jake, Emily says, her voice tight. What is this? It's a cake, Jake replies. Gray cake. Like you asked for. Neutral. Neutral doesn't mean gray. Emily snaps. Where's the pink? Where's the blue? How are we supposed to know what the baby is? And this is when Jake drops the bomb. Oh, he says, maintaining perfect calm. Nobody ever told me the gender. I asked multiple times. You said someone would email me. Nobody did. So I made what I could with the information I had. The room goes quiet. Emily's face goes through several emotions in rapid succession. Confusion, realization, embarrassment, anger. What do you mean nobody told you? She demands. Exactly what I said. I asked you for the gender information weeks ago. You told me someone would email it to me. I reminded you multiple times. I never got it. So I made a neutral cake, like you originally requested. Emily is now visibly upset. You should have told me you didn't get the information. I did tell you. Multiple times. You kept saying you'd handle it. People in the room are starting to catch on to what happened. Some are trying not to laugh. Others look secondhand embarrassed. The grandparents look mortified. Emily's partner tries to intervene. Okay, look, this is obviously a miscommunication. Let's just. This was supposed to be a special moment. Emily interrupts, and now there are tears forming. You ruined it. I made you a cake with the information I had, Jake says calmly. You wanted to be surprised. You didn't want me to know the gender. Well, congratulations, I didn't know the gender. And now we're all equally surprised by this cake. Emily is pissed. Her partner is trying to calm her down. The parents look irritated, though it's not entirely clear if they're irritated at Jake or at Emily or at the situation in general. Some of Emily's friends are trying to salvage the moment. It's okay. It's still a beautiful cake. And we can still find out the gender another way. But the damage is done. The moment is ruined. Instead of a joyful, Instagram-perfect gender reveal, they have a gray cake and a family argument. Emily, in her frustration, asks Jake to leave. Just go. Get out. And Jake, having made his point, boxes up his cement-colored creation and heads for the door. Jake gets home. He's honestly not sure how to feel about what just happened. On one hand, he did exactly what was asked of him. He followed instructions to the letter. He made a neutral cake, when he wasn't given the information he needed. On the other hand, he definitely just ruined his sister's gender reveal party. That's not really up for debate. He sits with it for a bit. And then, like so many people who find themselves in weird family situations, he does what comes naturally. He goes to Reddit, specifically to r/am I the asshole. He types out the story, the request, the lack of communication, the multiple follow-ups, the decision to make a gray cake, the disastrous reveal, the angry sister, and then he asks the internet, AITA? Am I the asshole for making a gray gender reveal cake when nobody told me what gender the baby was? He posts it, and then he waits. Now, if you're familiar with Reddit's AITA community, you know how this works. People vote on whether the person is YTA, you're the asshole, NTA, not the asshole, YesH, everyone sucks here, and H, no assholes here. The post gains traction quickly. We're talking hundreds of comments within the first hour, then thousands, then tens of thousands. This post explodes. Why? Because it's the perfect AITA story. It has everything. A clear conflict family drama, a wedding. Well, a party someone who's technically right, but maybe morally questionable petty revenge disguised as following instructions and a gray cake. The internet loves this story. But here's where it gets interesting. The votes aren't unanimous. In fact, this becomes one of the most divisive posts of the month. Let's break down the main camps. Camp 1, NTA, not the asshole. This is actually the majority opinion. Most people think Jake did nothing wrong. Their reasoning? He asked for the information multiple times. Emily kept saying she'd handle it and didn't. He warned her he needed the gender. She dropped the ball. As one top comment put it, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. She wanted a surprise? She got one. Another popular comment, you literally followed her instructions. She said make it neutral. Gray is the definition of neutral. This is on her. Many commenters point out that Jake gave Emily multiple chances to provide the information. He didn't just assume. He actively tried to get what he needed to do his job properly. Some comments even praised Jake for his malicious compliance. This is legendary petty behavior, and I'm here for it. Camp 2. YesH, everyone sucks here. This group thinks both Jake and Emily made mistakes. Emily obviously screwed up by not ensuring Jake got the gender information. That's undeniable. But Jake? He could have done more to prevent the disaster. As one commenter put it, yes, she messed up, but you knew this was going to ruin her party. You could have called her the day before. You could have refused to make the cake. You chose to be petty instead. Another comment, you were technically right, but you were also intentionally unhelpful. Adult communication means sometimes you have to go the extra mile, even when someone else drops the ball. These commenters argue that Jake had the power to prevent this disaster and chose not to. That makes him at least partially responsible for how things went down. Camp 3. YTA, you're the asshole. This is the minority opinion, but it exists. Some people think Jake is completely in the wrong. Their argument? Families should look out for each other. Emily was clearly stressed and disorganized with pregnancy and party planning. Jake should have been the bigger person. Your sister was pregnant and planning a party. Yes, she should have gotten you the info. But you knew she hadn't. You had the chance to fix it and chose to make a statement instead. One harsh comment. You valued being right more than your sister's happiness. That's an asshole move no matter how you justify it. These commenters see Jake's gray cake as a deliberate act of sabotage, not an innocent mistake. Back in the real world, Jake's phone is blowing up. Text messages from family members. Some supportive, some angry, some confused. His mom calls. She's frustrated with both of them. Why didn't Emily get him the information? Why didn't Jake call her directly when he didn't get it? Emily sends a long, angry text. She's humiliated. Her special moment was ruined. How could he do this to her? Some of Emily's friends are messaging him too, calling him names, telling him he's a terrible brother. But he's also getting supportive messages. His dad thinks it's hilarious, though he's trying not to let Emily know that. Some cousins are on his side. A few family members admit that Emily has a tendency to be disorganized, and this is kind of on her. The family is divided. The internet is divided. And Jake is left wondering, did I actually do anything wrong? Let's take a step back from the gray cake for a moment and talk about what's really going on here. Because this story isn't actually about a cake, is it? It's about communication, responsibility, expectations, and family dynamics. The communication problem. Emily wanted something specific, a gender reveal cake where nobody, including her, knew the gender until the big moment. That's a logistical challenge. It requires careful planning. Someone needs to be the designated secret keeper. That person needs to reliably communicate with the cake maker. Emily set up this complex system and then didn't follow through. She told Jake, someone will email you, but apparently never actually arranged for someone to do that. This is what we might call a management failure. Emily was the project manager of her own gender reveal, and she didn't manage the critical details. But here's the question. Was it Jake's responsibility to chase this down more aggressively? Some say yes. When you agree to make something important for someone you love, you should go the extra mile to make sure you have what you need. You pick up the phone. You show up in person. You don't just send texts and wait. Others say no. Jake asked multiple times. He gave plenty of warning. At some point, the ball is in Emily's court, and if she doesn't follow through, that's on her. There's no clear answer. Different people have different standards for what reasonable effort looks like. The expectation problem. Emily expected Jake to somehow figure it out, wait until the last possible moment. Make a guess? Jake expected Emily to provide the basic information needed to fulfill her request. Neither of them clearly communicated their expectations. And that's where things fell apart. Emily assumed Jake would keep bugging her until he got what he needed. Jake assumed Emily would take responsibility for getting him the information. Both assumptions were wrong. This is a classic case of when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. Except in this case, we're trying to figure out which person is the ass. The family dynamics. Here's something interesting that Jake mentioned in the comments of his Reddit post. This isn't the first time Emily has been disorganized and expected other people to compensate for it. Apparently, this is a pattern. Emily tends to plan things, get overwhelmed, drop balls, and then get upset when things don't work out perfectly. And the family usually just smooths it over. They compensate. They fix her mistakes. They don't hold her accountable because that's just how Emily is. Jake's gray cake? That's him refusing to play that game anymore. It's him saying, your lack of planning is not my emergency. It's him establishing a boundary. I will do what you ask me to do with the information you give me. I won't chase you down and fix your mistakes. Is that fair? Or is that harsh? Again, it depends on your perspective. Some commenters on Reddit praised Jake for this. You're teaching her a valuable lesson. Actions have consequences. Maybe next time she'll be more organized. Others thought it was cruel. She's your sister. She's pregnant. You could have cut her some slack. The malicious compliance factor. Let's be honest about something. Jake knew exactly what he was doing when he made that gray cake. He wasn't just following instructions. He was making a point. He could have made a white cake. He could have made a rainbow cake. He could have written, someone forgot to tell me the gender, in frosting on top. But no, he went with gray. Aggressively gray. Gray inside and out. Gray with gray clouds. That was a choice. A deliberate choice designed to highlight the absurdity of the situation. It's what the internet calls malicious compliance, following the letter of a request while completely ignoring its spirit. Is malicious compliance justified when someone drops the ball? Or is it just a passive-aggressive way of saying, I told you so? The Reddit community is genuinely split on this. The gender reveal culture. And finally, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Gender reveal parties themselves. These parties have become increasingly elaborate and, frankly, increasingly controversial. They've started wildfires. They've caused deaths. They reinforce gender stereotypes. They put pressure on expecting parents to create Instagram-perfect moments. Some commenters on Jake's post went in this direction. ESH because gender reveal parties are stupid in the first place. One comment that got a lot of upvotes. You're NTA, but I'm still judging both of you for participating in gender reveal culture. There's a growing sentiment that these parties have gotten out of hand, that they put unnecessary pressure on families, that they turn what should be a private, joyful moment into a performance for social media. Jake's gray cake, in a weird way, is a perfect symbol of rebellion against that culture. It's anti-Instagram. It's anti-aesthetic. It's the exact opposite of what these parties are supposed to be. Whether he intended it that way or not, he created the world's first truly neutral gender reveal. A cake that reveals nothing. A party with no reveal. It's almost philosophical. So what happened after all of this? Jake posted an update a few days after the original post. Here's what went down. Emily eventually calmed down. After the initial anger wore off, she apparently called Jake to apologize, sort of. Her apology was basically, "I'm sorry I didn't get you the information, but you still should have tried harder to get it." Not exactly a full apology, but it's something. Jake apologized too, also sort of. He said he was sorry that the party was ruined, but he stood by his decision to make the cake with the information he had. They agreed to disagree about who was more at fault. The family has mostly moved on, though there are still some tensions. Some relatives think Jake was in the right. Others think he was too harsh. Emily's friends still think he's an asshole. But here's the kicker. Emily and her partner found out the gender later through their doctor. They didn't do another reveal party. They just called family members individually. And for those of you wondering, it's a girl. So technically, the cake should have been pink. But honestly, at this point, that almost doesn't matter. The gray cake has become legendary in its own right. Let's talk about what we can learn from this situation. Lesson 1. Clear communication is everything. If Emily had simply said, "The doctor will email you the gender on specific date," and then followed up to make sure it happened, none of this would have occurred. If Jake had called Emily directly when he didn't receive the email, or if he'd messaged her saying, "If I don't get the gender by date, I can't make the cake," this might have been prevented. Both people made assumptions about what the other would do. Both people could have communicated more clearly. Lesson 2. Manage your own expectations. Emily wanted a Pinterest-perfect gender reveal. She wanted everything to be a surprise. She wanted a beautiful cake. But she didn't want to put in the organizational work to make that happen. She delegated without following through. If you have high expectations for an event, you need to either manage the details yourself or clearly delegate them to someone reliable and check that they're doing what needs to be done. Lesson 3. Sometimes being right isn't enough. Yes, Jake was technically correct. He followed Emily's instructions. He asked for information and didn't get it. But he also had the power to prevent a disaster and chose not to. He prioritized being right over being kind. Sometimes, especially with family, you have to ask yourself, do I want to be right, or do I want to maintain the relationship? There's no universal answer to that question. It depends on the situation, the history, and your personal values. Lesson 4. Malicious compliance feels good in the moment. But there are consequences. Jake got to make his point. He got to say, "I told you so," in the most dramatic way possible. And in return, he damaged his relationship with his sister, upset his family, and created drama that will probably be brought up at family gatherings for years. Was it worth it? That's for Jake to decide. Lesson 5. Social media can make everything worse. The fact that Jake posted this on Reddit added another layer to the situation. Now it's not just a family issue, it's a viral story. Thousands of strangers have opinions about Emily and Jake. The story has been shared across platforms. It's probably going to end up in best of Reddit compilations for years. Emily's embarrassing moment is now internet famous. That adds insult to injury. Is seeking validation from strangers online worth potentially making a family situation worse? That's something to think about. So, let's return to the original question. Is Jake the asshole? Here's my take, for what it's worth. I think this is a classic ESH situation. Everyone sucks here. Emily sucks for poor planning and for expecting Jake to be a mind reader. She created an unnecessarily complicated situation and then didn't follow through on the details. Jake sucks for choosing petty revenge over being helpful. Yes, he asked for the information. But he also knew that not getting it would ruin the party, and he made the cake anyway. He could have done more. But here's the thing. I don't think either of them is a terrible person. They're just humans in a frustrating situation who both made questionable choices. Emily is probably stressed about pregnancy and party planning and a million other things. Her mistake is understandable, even if it's not excusable. Jake is probably tired of being expected to clean up after Emily's disorganization. His response is understandable, even if it was a bit harsh. They're family. They'll probably get over this eventually. And maybe, just maybe, this will lead to better communication in the future. Or maybe they'll just tell this story at every family gathering and argue about who was right. Either way, we got one hell of a Reddit story out of it. The final verdict. Based on the Reddit votes, the majority opinion was NTA, not the asshole. The community sided with Jake. But the comments section was a war zone, with thousands of people passionately arguing both sides. And honestly, that's what makes this such a perfect AITA story. It's the kind of situation where reasonable people can disagree. There's no clear bad guy. There's no obvious villain. Just two people who made different choices and ended up in a disaster. And a gray cake. Let's not forget the gray cake. Closing. So what do you think? Was Jake the asshole? Was Emily? Were they both? Drop your opinion in the comments. And be warned, people feel very strongly about this story. The comments are going to be spicy. Would you have made the gray cake? Would you have tried harder to get the information? Would you have just refused to make the cake at all? Let me know your thoughts. Before you go, make sure you're subscribed. Hit that notification bell. We've got more wild Reddit stories coming your way. And if you made it this far, comment Gray Cake Gang so I know you watched the whole thing. Thanks for watching, everyone. This has been the story of the most neutral gender reveal in internet history. Stay dramatic, stay petty, and remember, always, always get the information you need before you start baking. See you in the next one.